Okay, very quickly, I need your assistance. We need to know where to put our efforts and energy in promoting Washington Watch. I would like to know how you watch or listen to Washington Watch. You can help us. Simply text poll, the word poll, to 67742, and we'll send you a list of the ways in which you can tune in. If you'll just tell us how you listen or watch, that will be extremely helpful to us. Again, text the word poll to 67742. That's 67742, the word poll. Well, earlier today, the Biden administration unveiled the president's budget proposal for 2023 and laid out his priorities for the coming year, which could be pivotal heading into the midterm election. The release of the proposal, totaling about $5.8 trillion in spending, is the first step in the lengthy budget process and comes just weeks after Congress passed the omnibus spending bill for the rest of 2022. Here with me to talk about this and more is Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. She serves on 4 Senate committees, including the Judiciary Committee, the Armed Services Committee, and the Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation. Senator, welcome back to the program.
Good to see you. Thank you so much. It is a busy time in D.C.
Well, you've been extremely busy, and before we get into the president's budget, which I'm sure you cannot wait to dissect, I want to go back to the Senate Judiciary Committee. Today, the Senate Judiciary Committee delayed a vote on the president's nominee for the Supreme Court by 1 week. And I just want to know, can you define for the American people what a delay is?
Well, yes. What we will many times do is hold over nominees, and that's what we did with all of our judicial nominees today. You know, Tony, some of us still have questions for the record, written responses that we're waiting to get. Some of us sent a letter to Judge Jackson last week asking for clarification on some of her answers. So all of that has to take place. So the vote on her will be next week, but we'll see how that's going to go. What is really interesting to me about this is that Judge Jackson has shown how far to the left she is, how tied in she is with the progressive side of the Democratic Party. So every day that passes, there are more people that say, I do not support having someone who holds these views this far out of the American mainstream. And that is something that I think people all over the country are weighing in on this, whether it is her praise of progressive education in CRT, her lack of a judicial philosophy. She won't say where she is on court packing. And of course, she refused to define the word woman during the time I was questioning her.
Well, and I want to go to that, Senator. First off, let me just say, it's clear you're qualified to serve in the United States Senate because you can define delay. I want to go to that moment, which, you know, it seems like every confirmation hearing there is one moment that really locks the attention of the American people. And I think you had that moment. I want to play that clip from that exchange that you had with Judge Jackson. Play clip number 3, please.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
Were you surprised by that response?
I think you could hear in my voice I was surprised. I had been discussing CRT with her and couldn't get a straight answer about woke education, woke kindergarten, the program that is taught at Georgetown Day School, where she is on the board. I couldn't get a straight answer there, so I asked her about the case U.S. versus Virginia, which dealt with Virginia Military Academy, and it forced them to admit women. Justice Ginsburg wrote for the majority in that opinion and said there are enduring differences between male and female. And I read part of that decision back to the judge and asked her if she agreed with Justice Ginsburg. She would not give me an answer. And Tony, I thought she would say, yes, I agree with Justice Ginsburg. And I was going to go on and talk about the NCAA and the biological male-female competition, which of course the court at some point is going to have to rule on this. And so she wouldn't give me an answer on Ginsburg. So I said, well, define woman. Give me the definition of woman. And I was really surprised that she did not, because the seminal victory for women in that VMI case was that their all male admission standard was pulled down. And now you have women that attend these military academies as they ought to be able to do so. But this just shows you how far to the left this progressive wing of the party is pushing, to the point that they won't even define woman. So how do you rule on a Title VII or a Title IX or a discrimination case or Violence Against Women Act? How do you make those rulings if you will not define the difference between male and female?
Extremely important point. As you said, these cases are making their way up to the Supreme Court. So it's not so much that she couldn't define woman, it's that she wouldn't define woman.
She refused to define. That's right.
Because this would incite the left, who they want to say that gender is up for definition. You can define
yes, it. And Demand Justice, which is a far left organization, they are spending millions of dollars to get her on the Supreme Court. And in the last couple of weeks, they have done a $1 million ad buy, social media ad buy, to promote her candidacy. They're holding rallies all over the country. And they are very invested in having a Supreme Court justice, Judge Jackson, elevated. They're for court packing. We know what their agenda is. It is the far left socialist Marxist agenda. And they're spending a lot of money supporting her.
Well, and they lose half the victory that they're looking for if she is nominated, because she, as President Biden said, the first Black African-American woman to be appointed to the court. And if we can't define woman any longer, they lose half the victory there, because she could, who knows, maybe she's not a woman, I don't know. Let's move to the president's budget. The president introducing a budget of $5.8 trillion, second largest budget request in history, the largest being last year's budget of $6 trillion. Of course, in his comments today, he basically trashed the previous administration for reckless spending. But has this administration taken the emergency spending that was done during the Trump administration in response to the shutdown of business and the COVID response and made that their baseline budget?
Oh, of course. That's exactly what they're doing. And bear in mind, when George Bush left the presidency and turned over the keys to the Oval Office to Barack Obama, our nation's debt from George Washington to George Bush, it was $10.6 trillion. Barack Obama and Joe Biden basically doubled that debt. So they leave, it's about $22 trillion. We have COVID. Trump added a little bit to it. And now with all of this spending that Joe Biden has done, we're at $30 trillion. And it just shows you that they are spending money left and right. There is no regard for future generations. There's no regard for the tax burden that people are going to have in order to keep this country afloat if they're able to continue the spending they're trying to do.
Well, they're proposing lots of taxes in this budget request as well. Senator, we're out of time. Always great to talk with you. Thanks for standing so tough in the United States Senate and fighting for the values we care about. You're doing a great job.
Thank you so much. Take care.